against each other, despite the numerous calls for them to create a coalition to stand for these elections against the ruling CPDM party. We also are going to be profiling some of those who have declared their intentions to run for these elections, if time permits, with our panelists who are with me in the studio. We have Dr. Michael Dimancho, who is a lecturer with some universities in Cameroon, as well as a core member of Cameroon Civil Society, leading an organization. Good evening, we're glad to have you.
Thanks so much, Mr. Liu, and thanks for inviting me on this maiden day. Of course, that the chiefs and the Fons and the Lamidos sitting in Yaoundé and making declarations, of course, supposedly from their feelings, metaphysical feelings from the ancestors, to acclaim and to ask for continuity of power from the incumbent President Paul Biya. I greet all of them and greet all the Cameroonians who continue to suffer, and to ask that not all hope is lost, and that we continue to fight as a civil society. We unified our efforts to be able to bring Cameroon to the point where we are. There are others who have suffered more than us. And I think that no matter how long the night, dawn is very, very sure someday, somehow. Good evening.
Okay, thank you for accepting our invitation, and also to you, Fa Elvis Atayon, who is the Assistant Communication Secretary for the Cameroon Renaissance Movement. Good evening, Fa.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Liu. It's my pleasure marking presence here today. Greetings to the people of Bafut, where I was there for 2 days, communing with the Royal Majesty Fonabombi II concerning the loss of his brother. I think I was accorded warm welcome there by the people, by Bafut people. I think I say thank you to all of them and the people of Kotek Bafut, who are equally very close to me to give me a guide in Bafut Fondom, which I'm new there, so I think I want to greet the Royal Majesty of Bafut all the same. Greetings also to Professor Maurice Kamto and all the members of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, and above all, greetings to the people of Wonya Mukumba as usual. I'm thanking the governor of the South Region for coming to the aid, of course, with the Legion Commander assisting in arresting those who are causing havoc in that area below Bulu. I think we'll be examining subsequently. They'll get to my media prime in the days ahead, probably to explain their own side of the story concerning what is happening with Wunya Mukumba and the saga surrounding that land issue out there. But then I will not forget giving special greetings to the people of Andek. Worst of it, Mr. Leo, is that there's a councillor that's missing till today. He had been missing for close to a month, who went for a meeting in Bengui. And after the meeting in Bengui, the councillor is nowhere to be found till today. Complaints have been given to judicial police, the SDOs. I think the municipal authorities are surely doing their best, because it's sometimes slow, but surely they are moving towards a direction to find out exactly how can a councillor who comes for a meeting in Bengui get lost along the line till today. It's a call for concern, but we thank God there is life, and we shall keep doing what we can do to make sure that we unseat those who are at the 2D, and to remove the kangaroo system and put in place a cleansed new republic of this country.
Okay, Damari Jarvis is also for tonight's edition of the program. Good evening, Ta. Glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Kum. Good evening to Dr. Michael Dimancho, who is the co-founder of the New Era Youth for Africa. A special good evening to the Ngafom of Gunuku village, this mouthpiece of the fund, Mr. Fire Elvis. A special good evening to the political stakeholders, talking about the Honorable Joshua Nambagi Osi, we're talking about President Paul Biya, we're talking about Professor Maurice Kamto, Edith Kawala. Special good evening to also Cabral Libi, all those who are trying their efforts to see that we have a better system, irrespective of whichever party you are. Any party believe that their vision is the best for Cameroonians. So I want to take this time to wish them special good evening, and to the Bishop of Boya Diocese, His Lordship Michael Bibi, a special good evening to you and the peace-loving people of Way Village, especially those around Kefuka and Three Corners, and why not the peace-loving people of Moya Village, Moya Town. A special good evening to you, His Royal Majesty Edward Molinge.
Okay, we are also expecting Mr. Siaka Shuni to be part of this panel. He is going to be sitting in as representative for the CPDM party. You are watching and observing the political landscape, Dr. Michael and Dimancho. You see the ping-pong game that is ongoing between the CRM, PCRN, and other political parties. Is this the time where we should be trading wars of words instead of concerting together as members of the opposition?
Mr. Leo, I think this is a time we have been expecting to get conclusions from opposition parties. I mean, they are concluding on the agreements leading to the presidential elections. We are barely 6 months to the October 5th presidential election. And having had so much from the government, like you see, the government is on the knees of the MRC, them playing their own game about whether they are to go for elections or not. The PSRN is here also with his own ping-pong with their leaders, Kuna, the minister interfering. I think that this was a time for these political parties to get together among themselves and fight a common enemy. In quote, this was really not the time for them to be throwing words and be stirring that storm in the teacup that we find happening, you know, around them at this point in time. Sometimes, in times of crisis, people unite to fight a common enemy, and this is actually the time we have been expecting to see. If we go back from the elections of 2018 and we look at the candidates who actually contested, and we will have been expecting that at this point in time, they should be gathering momentum. We are looking at the MRC, of course, which came up very powerfully in 2018, and we'll have been expecting that at this point in time, they should be getting further towards the presidency. If they had maybe 1.5 point something, I mean, this time around, they should be moving forward to another percentage that is worth it. We are looking at a party like, you know, PSRN, a party like the Pews of Serge Matomba, I mean, which was also very, very outstanding. I know that Fanny Franklin G of his other NCMC. Well, we are not hearing anything about it any longer this time around. And we thought that these parties that came out actually and made the news during the 2018 elections, I mean, we are supposed to get the noise louder. But what we get from political parties is that issue of, you know, ego, you know, that personality cult, you know. People want to distinguish themselves as individuals. Remember that one of the issues about Africa, that Africa has remained segmented up to today, is that issue of fighting as individuals. And if I can recall, one of the cries of Madame Kosa Zana Zuma during the 50th anniversary of Pan-Africanism, that was in 2013, where she read an imaginary letter to Kwame Nkrumah. And that imaginary letter, she talked about, she cried and said, Kwame Nkrumah, we are sorry. We are sorry because we have become much more fragmented, and you warned us about this. I think that this is the kind of imaginary letter I will send to the political parties in Cameroon, that really they should apologize to Cameroon people and say they are sorry. They are sorry because at this point in time, when Cameroonians are at the lost, many asking each day in and out, who is a credible candidate who is supposed to carry the flag of Cameroonians and get going. And many have cried, like some of us, the civil society, we have been crying. We said, we need a coalition. There are some opposition parties who have said, we do not need a coalition. We can win elections alone. But then we have not ruled out that point, that you can win an election as an individual party. But we are asking, you can win an election alone. Please take us and let us go according to your manifesto. Let us be able to hear from you the further route I mean, the way forward that you are bringing forward to us, but nobody is giving us a green light to tell us that this is where we are going. You cannot sit in your individual offices and tell us that you win election alone. The stakes are high. By the time that, I mean, our house is being burnt, you know, our house is on fire, we are around chasing rats. Opposition parties in Cameroon are chasing rats. They are not seeking the center. They are actually getting out of the center, and the people are crying and they are hungry, because at this time you realize that like the Minister of Territorial Administration has taken the advantage maybe to mingle into the party affairs of political parties, whereby sending a message to the Elecam to say the pews, I mean the Pesseran is on by Kona. That these are some of the things that actually are creating that kind of a confusion, because it appears as if the ruling party too is afraid that if there is this coalition, something may happen in Cameroon. But then we thought that this political party should now take an advantage and said, our enemy is afraid. The person who we are fighting is afraid. Let us be able to join hands together, synergize effort, and be able to hit hard. But all that we get is people playing here this ping pong game, this one insulting this one talking, saying this to this one, and then at the final analysis, they are the electors who are wondering to know, they don't know exactly what is going to happen. Why we are asking for people to register and vote, and registration is flaring, I mean, it's gonflating. We are asking ourselves whether at the end of it all, we are going to do some kind of jollof rice with those registered voters, or what are we going to do? Because at the end of the day, when people don't know the credible person that they are going to vote, they are going to stay in their houses, and will be the usual result that we have at the end of the day. Okay. Do you understand, Faevis Atayon, you are a member of one of Cameroon's leading opposition parties, that Cameroonians in 2025 should rather be getting stories of attacks and counterattacks from within opposition political parties, instead of seeing how serene they are working towards elections, imminent elections that are going to hold in October?
Well, I think that Cameroonians are very intelligent. I am coming from the ground. I'm a ground soldier, political ground soldier. And I will tell you that there is an agenda setting that is masterminded in the guise of divide and rule, put in place, a machinery put in place by the state, and then propounded by media to give the scenario that no work is being done, people keep fighting.
No.
Now,
we are not.
I'm coming.
No. We are not talking about the workers, but we understand that openly we've seen.
That's why I'm coming.
Cabral be openly attacking.
Yeah.
Because you give the impression that it is the media. No. We are just relating what is happening.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, Mr. Leon. When I say
you are also part of the media.
Yes, I'm part of the media. Yeah. When I say that it is a machinery put in place by the state for divide and rule, and then propagated by media, it's an agenda. That thing happens even in the US of A. When Donald Trump was coming to election, CNN had his own agenda, Fox News had his own, and all of them also influence the population in one way or the other. It's an agenda setting. Why do I call it an agenda setting? For the simple reason that the shots will come from any angle, and when some of us look at it, we are saying, but what is the main thing we have on the ground? People should register, as Elecam started by launching the registration process. And I think that when I say I call media, because the issue of who is to take or who is to coalition, as I speak without whatever amount, is simple. That first, the main agenda is true, the fights will come. It's normal, we're human beings. From different sociological background, anthropological components, it will come. Coupled with the main machinery put in place by the state to divide and rule. Now the question is, what are we giving to Cameroonians? Now the civil society official here, Doctor, quite said, the fighting is up and down, nobody's giving an agenda. But I think he himself is not even current. Because we understand that when Professor Maurice Kamto made his end of year speech, most of us relate on media. And instead, when he's taking over, first thing is to release political prisoners, bring an end to the Anglophone crisis, blah, 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 blah. Now, not in his office, not in his office. That's why I said that sometimes the civil society look like they are also drawing the agenda and putting aside. Now, what are we saying here, Mr. Leon? If we look at it critically, I said sometime here, that the issue of coalition, that we have left the main object and we're chasing the shadow, is like a sponsored project. And why am I saying so? We understand very well, for those who understand Cameroon politics, that coalition started several times. In the 90s, it was almost gaining steam. After that, it started having some diversified aspect, because each time coalition started, along the line, there's a problem. Who to lead? What is the agenda? Way forward. And now, when some of us understand at the level of the CRM, we said it's a total derailment of Cameroonians, because what is the main issue at stake? We have said people should register. We are getting towards a bridge. In that bridge, there must be a way to cross. And I think that from the usual 3.5 million to 8 million, it means that Cameroonians are aware. I want to let people know that Cameroonians are not dull persons. Because if they were not dull, they should not have been 8 million plus. Despite the ranks and files that they blame coalition. No, Cameroonians are getting more aware. And that's why I said, and I'm saying it here, before June, when we'll likely end, we must have attained 12 million to 13 million something. That has never happened in the history of Cameroon, even the 8 million plus now. If it's happened at a time where there is a blowing whistle that coalition, we know it will be difficult to talk about coalition platform now, because there is a syndrome of divide and rule. And the mechanism of the state is working in any aspect. We've seen, we don't want to castigate any party, because we think that for CRM, the main enemy in quotes we have is the ruling party. People could give us agenda. I'll tell you as an investigative journalist that even media papers, media personalities have been paid equally in that role, because they pick up, these are the parties eligible. These are what they say is correct. What they say, no, I mean some. What they say, not so. Like who will be eligible and not right. As per provisions of the parties now is correct. But nobody is coming out to educate Cameroonians. There are 3 provisions in the electoral law that stipulates conditions for someone to become a presidential candidate. If we hang on one that the party does not have this, have we been able to examine the 2?
Yeah, but yeah. You are talking on a media platform that has used 3 years to educate Cameroonians on what you are saying.
And they are registering numbers.
And that has said, explain all of these things. When
Correct.
you come now and all you do is blame the media for what they have been doing, are you sincere? It means that you yourself want to set an agenda for the media.
No.
Because what we have observed this weekend has been attacks where Professor Maurice Kamto writes against the Secretary General of the President, Secretary General of CPDM, and then Professor Gregoire Ona responds to Professor Maurice Kamto, and we have Cabral Libi, who comes out to say, if someone had worked with the government, if he comes to work with you, it's going to. That is the news. You are not struggling to want to give us.
Orange au top pour enflammer les fêtes. Yeah, yeah, avec Orange, ah ouais, ça donne. Oh, mais ne fais pas ce qu'Orange nous met bien. Orange au chaud le fire. C'était fin d'année. Ne fais pas de jalousie. Ne fais pas sortir le lit. Peut-être que ces gens que t'envies en plus ont seulement souscrit au bonus. Dis seulement Dieu merci pour le souffle de vie.
Is this, Mr. Leo? Why the coalition agenda goes on? And this is what I'm repeating also. The Cameroonians who are registering, I have said we have one part of party officials who are called sympathizers, which boils back to the fact that the moment you put your card straight on what you intend to change for Cameroon, there are so many persons who are not even part of your party who align with you. That's why the word in political science, party sympathizers, counts a lot.
Okay.
And that's why if you look at it, I take example of Faye, for example. Faye had worked in the system as a tax inspector. He had equally with party militants in the ruling. But what happened? When he was drawing out, Faye did not win because he was overplaying the aspect of culture. Faye win because sympathizers. I'm not heading from those of you do the
No, can we talk about it? I'm saying that there is a ping-pong game that is going on between political party executives. I have cited examples.
State agenda, divide and rule. I keep repeating that.
State agenda, okay? You think it's a
I keep repeating.
agenda?
It's a state agenda of divide and rule, so that why they go on, Cameroonians should think that no work is being done. For example, let me talk about CRM. The fight is going on, Mr. Liu. You are right, and you are reporting what is there.
Fair because
and while you are pointing the fight, we are doing our work gradually on the ground.
Programs on that.
Yes.
We have done programs.
Correct.
Today we are discussing something else. You want to discuss what CRM?
I am explaining to you the agenda on ground.
No. Come and pay me money. I will do a special program to tell Cameroonians what the CRM is doing.
You are reporting what is correct, Mr. Liu. I'm saying simply that on our own part, We know that it's a policy of divide and rule and agenda setting. What do we do? Our own role is to make sure that we keep playing our groundwork and encouraging Cameroonians to vote.
Are you saying that
there
is no ping pong game going on between you guys?
Ping pong game between us, sponsored by the system.
I think
very simple.
I think the system did not sponsor Professor Maurice Kamto to actually fired at the Secretary General of CPDM. It was a party decision to actually write and reply to the Secretary General of the CPDM, and the Secretary General of the CPDM actually fired back. And I think that it is not, nobody also, no system, will I say, actually also push Cabral Libi to actually say what he had to say, because he probably is also looking at it that if this party is out, I may have win the sympathizers and it will put me on a better position. It's all about what the Darwin principle talk about, the survival of the fittest, where it is only the big game that wins. But to me, I think that at this point in time, this is not what we expect. We are very, very late for a coalition, and we thought that January, as Dr. Demancho said it, should have been the moment where they are dotting the I's and cutting the T's. I believe that January should have been the moment where most of these parties would have started visiting churches across the board. I believe that January would have been a moment where most of these parties would have started visiting big business centers just to visit. I believe at this time, January, most of these parties would have had time to visit markets just to visit, because to gear up in mid-2025. In times like this, it's sad to see attacks coming from opposition parties. We could see this coming from the ruling party, but when opposition party get into their beat, it now brings a problem. Because, for example, we are talking about coalition, and I asked a question yesterday when I had a member of SDF on the panel. I asked him a simple question, that we look at what happened in 1996, in 1992. It was Union pour le Changement that actually gave SDF the stamina. And at that time, if you do an in-depth content analysis, you see that Cameroonians were not too divided as they are today. And at that time, in 1992, you see that we did not have that so much political parties as we have today. Now, if we look at the high rate of divide, plus the crisis in the northwest and southwest region that has further divided people based on ideological grounds, and looking at also what is happening in the northern part of Cameroon, that has also further divided people, and looking at the divide within the church itself, I asked him, do you think a single party can win an election? If in 1992, we did not have all this unit of analysis, yet it was a coalition that almost did the magic. But now in this dispensation, do you think that with what I've articulated, a single party can pull the magic? He could not answer. And the truth is that we have to borrow from what has happened. Dr. Dimancho is a researcher. We have to look at what has happened to infer for what is happening, so that we can actually, that's literature review. We have to do contextual review, conceptual review, and theoretical review. From the concept, you look at in the concept, you see that Cameroonians are really divided. Are divided now, and they were not divided before. And in democracy, the more divided you are, the more chaos you get. And in the theoretical review, it was more of parties coming together under the banner of Union pour le Changement. And if you look at what is happening now, attacks are coming. Attacks were not like that in 1992, though I was a bit still very young, 2 years old, but I have read from history. I know some of you were born that time. You can best tell me if we had this kind of shots that were fired in as it is before. Now, what we are saying in essence is that parties opposition ought to keep away their personality, their personal gain, and look at the general interest. Cameroonians, whether you are PCRN or I am SDF or I am MRC, we are united by one common goal. The common goal is that there is traffic everywhere and we cannot get to our houses. We are united by a common language. The common language is that electricity is being rationed. We all are being affected. The common language is that prices of basic commodities are all-time high. When you go to shop as to buy, they don't sell to you as Fire Evis from CRM. They sell to you as a Cameroonian. When Dr. Michael Dimancho goes to the shop to buy, they don't sell to him as a co-founder of NEA. They sell to him as a Cameroonian. When I go, they don't sell to me as a journalist. They sell to me as a Cameroonian. We all are united by that common front of inadequate electricity, rationing. We are united by that common front of the fact that unemployment is all-time high. We all are united by the common front that bags of rice were given during COVID. We never saw them, and now we are now seeing bags of rice that are being sold for 15,000 in equality. This is what opposition parties should be looking at, coming together. But rather than saying that you cannot work with so and so person, or this person is saying that I cannot, I think in time like this, it's further making us to understand that coalition is a far-fetched dream. Because even at this moment, we are not pushing at calling people short, and that if you cannot work, who is it that have not worked with this government directly or indirectly, in one way or the other? Everybody have worked one way or the other. It's a collaborative nature. And besides working with the government, there is something we must understand here. I think that when we make statement that if Mr. A has worked in this person, I cannot work with this, I think that to me, we are not being fair to the Cameroonian people, because at one point in time you need to be in the system to understand how it functions, so you can know how you can either break it. So I see that opposition party at this level should keep away their ego. They should look at what unites them more, and they should come up with key points. Like I'm saying, like we look at the current coalition that has been formed, there's still some things that they must do, because you ask them, what are your 5 key agendas? How do you intend to tackle them? How do you intend to do this? Also, civil society has a big role to play. They are the referees.
We are going to come to that. Dr. Michael Dimancho, the whole of last year we had more than 20 programs here calling for coalitions relating to what people are saying, because FAR gives the impression that it is our minds. We receive messages here on social media, we read almost everybody is saying something. So to say that it is an agenda that is pushed from somewhere, I don't know where that agenda is coming from. But during the 2018 presidential elections, we saw parties scramble to form a coalition a month to the elections. We have spent 6 years after the 2018 elections, and we are months towards 2025 elections. Is it still possible to have a credible coalition? And when people declare that they want to stand, what are they saying to the coalition dream?
I think there is this issue of playing to the gallery. And that is what happened in 2018, 1 month to the elections. They played to the gallery to fool Cameroonians that it is like this, we are coming for a coalition. Mr. Far Evis Tayong has made a statement here, which I'm baffled, because when we asked about the issue of the coalition, and he says they are taking their time because they don't want to do it now. They are afraid of an invisible hand of divide and rule. And I begin to ask myself, if they actually are afraid of each other, that okay, that invisible hand will come and then draw other members away from the coalition, it means that there is that mistrust that they are having, and they are not actually confident in who they want to go in for a coalition with. Can you imagine that we are waging a war, we are going for a war, and you say, no, we are only going to come to a concerted action at the eve of the war because we are afraid that if we show our force, another person will come and divide us. These are people, soldiers, going for war? I feel I've been taken aback by that, please. And, you know, it is the issue of the coalition in Cameroon has taught Cameroonians that they shouldn't trust political parties. Imagine politics like football. You are having a football match the next day, and it is today you want to do a serious training. It doesn't work like that. We will have been expecting that at this point in time. This is the moment where political parties should be making a shufflement and going around the regions. It's just a shufflement and receiving applause from the people. Given what they have done for 6 years, that has passed, close to 7 years that have passed. Now it would have just been a kind of, a leisure kind of trip and visits to the people, communing with the people, talking to the people, being convivial with the people and saying, we were there for you during the past 6 years. Please remember that we are still there, and remember that October is coming. There is nothing much more we can do for you now. We have been doing that for 6 years. This is what we expect to get from political parties. Not that they should be waiting at the nick of time, 6 months to the elections, and you tell me that you are still planning to come in a concerted action in a coalition to be able, so that the invisible hand shouldn't come and then divide you. This is much more than the prayers of Jesus to the disciple in the garden of Gethsemane, and he prayed that you should be strong. I don't know how strong are these political parties who want to come for a coalition. So I think the issue of coalition for us, we have seen that we have been fooled, and we have been fooled so many times. And if up to now there is no coalition, I want to say, from my metaphysical understanding of things, there is no match. There is actually no match. Because if for all these years you could not see yourself eyebrow to eyebrow, face to face, and talk truth to power, then I do not think that it is now that you start picking your pieces and then trying to mend issues. There is a problem. Mr. Fa also talked about how people are manipulating the media whatsoever. I think that the media only relates what he hears from the political parties. When Maurice Kamto speaks, the media has to talk. It is information that they take from the political party to relate. They do not know whether they are, if Maurice Kamto has heard from whoever. They are just relating.
And when make themselves available for the media.
That is a question.
The past 7 years.
When Kamba Libi comes and says that the person cannot be trusted who has worked for government for some time, it is not, the media is not going to hear whether somebody caused him to say that. They have their fights. Yes, they have their fights, and you don't want them. But media practitioners are not people who have metaphysical powers like us of the tradition. We were able to see where something is coming from. We may see beyond, but they only see what they can touch. They relate what they can touch, because what they also have, they have bibliography. They also have something to show, references, where somebody will ask you, where did you get this information? A journalist should be able to say, I got this information from this person. You want them to start relating things that are done in the night that they don't even see. So I really think that there is a problem. And the problem here is that issue la politique du vent, where most political parties, they are fighting to get into elections because of the minimum packet for campaign. This is a time where you will be so gathering for funds, where now like this, each political party will already be, had enough funds where when they declare, when they call the electoral college, they know that yes, they have their funds, and they open campaigns, they know they have their funds to go around. But they will open campaigns and then they will sit and say the government has not yet released the funds for campaigns. Then another delay will start, another delay will start, another delay will start. These are some of the delay tactics, and now at the end of it all, what do? Now they blame the government and say the package for campaigns or whatever was released late, and therefore we could not hit our campaign as we wanted to do. This is not what is expected from political or opposition parties. If you want to go for politics, especially in Africa, even in the world over, you need to have money. And I always take inspiration from George Weah. He didn't wait for the government to give him money. When that man was running helicopters in hinterlands in Liberia, getting from over there, it was not money from the government. But Mr. Fa surprised me to say that Maurice Kamto spoke during the end of year speech. Do I have to wait the whole year to wait Mr. Maurice Kamto sit in his office and then on social media and listen to his speech? I do not need that. I need to feel him more than I hear him. I need to feel him in Douala, in my quarter, more than I hear him. This is what it means by politics. Politics sometimes is passive. Campaign is passive. Because some people will say, we do not have the space for campaign whatsoever. But campaign is much more passive than active. It is true what you do to the people that they remember the most. It is not what you say. You can come and give 20 points for the people. How you are going to come bring the people out of slavery, how the Anglophone crisis will be solved in one day, and how you bring in, a federated kind of state in Cameroon, how you do this. This is not what the people want. They have been fooled for so long a time, and it is time that they themselves take their own responsibility and give you yellow card, the political party. I'm not talking to the MRSA particularly. I'm talking to the political parties in Cameroon, that they have failed us, and it is high time. It is not now. I'm happy to Mr. Fa say that Cameroonians are intelligent. And one of the intelligence of Cameroon is that they have been fooled and they have learned their lessons, and that they don't fall the third time.
So you're not talking on their behalf?
No, of course, as civil society, as a civil society, I am the ear and the eyes of the people.
Society politics.
No, it's not politics. It is because Mr. Tamal, no, listen. I'm going scientific. Mr.
Have you asked how we got to end million?
Talked about a review. Review. I'm going from past experience. That before you draw a conclusion, you first of all make an analysis of what has ever happened.
I just said want to be civil society. Don't be civil society politics for ruling party.
Listen to me. And this is
you cannot speak on behalf of Cameroonians.
And this is always the thing that happens to political parties on platform. You people have that kind of internal anger. No. You are so much bitter about things that we do not even know why you are bitter about. I am talking.
You cannot speak on behalf of Cameroonians.
No, you are supposed to listen to me. You are supposed to listen to me and hear what I'm saying, because I'm the mouth of the society.
No.
I'm the mouth of the people.
Of the society you govern, not the society.
I'm empirical kind of a proof that I'm giving you, and I'm giving you data. You should take it rather than argue me.
They say uneasy.
But I'm equal to the task. I don't think I have a problem with that.
You have to bear.
No, I'm bearing.
You have to bear. You have to be tolerant.
I'm bearing.
You have to show Cameroonians when you take power, you'll be better than President.
That's why I'm bearing.
Not only talking about kangaroo, you know.
You don't even want him to express himself.
No. There are some expressions that you need to bring somebody to order to.
Accuse us of things that you know, and you are part of our core.
Yeah, I agree on that.
And you are setting an agenda for us.
Yeah, we are part of that.
I'm condemning the kangaroo government in Yaoundé. So what I'm saying is, one of the issues that we hear about the humility of political parties is that when we come to platforms, sometimes it is much more good to listen, because.
And you think you are humble the way you are presenting.
Now you see now. Let me now. I'll be giving.
You are giving a wrong example.
No.
You are talking and shouting, concluding on behalf of Cameroonians.
No, I have given a data. My data, and I'm trying. Yes, I want you to draw from there. Yes, I mean, this is what I've heard.
Have you forgotten that I am also on the ground?
No. Yes, you will say it when you are on the ground. You are going to say what you got from the ground. But what I'm saying is that I am not a politician, and I'm not your opponent. I'm not threat to you.
On how they should do their things.
I'm not a politician, but a political observer, and I'm a political lecturer. This is the issue. Is that difficult to understand? And you, as an opposition party, a politician, you are supposed to listen to the lecture, even if it's as what, like Max Eman will say, even the door, they too have their own story to tell, and this is what the political parties are supposed to be doing at this point in time, rather than argue. The only person you could argue with now is their opponent, and you know who your opponent is the kangaroo government you call every day the CPDM. It is not with me. Don't spend that energy arguing with me, because it would be energy spent for nothing. What I am telling you is what
I don't even argue with, because we are working and going.
Good.
You are only blamed on hot air.
No, good. And I listen to the hot air so that you can use that hot air now and blow down people to fall like mushrooms. So what I am saying is that you as political parties, one of the things that you should be doing at this last stage is not to start a debate from afresh, because all 6 years my media program has been here, and I know that the media program has run so many political programs, so many, where we had this opportunity to give the education. This is a time of denouement. This is a time of drawing conclusion, and then drawing a lesson and giving a recommendation. This should be the time for recommendation, like we do in research. Because after doing all your findings and bring your conclusion, there is what you call a recommendation. What do you recommend after all of this? I'm recommending that there is quite a lot that we have discovered some lapses in what you have done. And the lapses need to be filled. And that if these lapses are not filled, the research work will not be complete. And these are the lapses in the policy you have done. You have not gone closer to the people. You have been at the level of
authority. That's what you think.
You have been at the level of authority. People pronouncing end of year speeches in their offices, and we do not know where they are. Are you sure that Maurice Kamto lives in Cameroon? Yeah, because we don't feel him. Just like in other political parties. I'm not only talking about you, but I can say for one, that I got the media report about the SDF chairman who went around the regions and campaigns. At least I got that one. But maybe Maurice Kamto is sending people to the field to campaign for him. But remember, one time he had referred to other people as Mutong, and he needs to apologize to those people. How do you call people Mutong and then you want to go back to them?
When I say you are sponsored CB, they say no.
Anyway,
let's move ahead.
Yes, but as we speak today, how do we really make Cameroonians to see that you guys are working here, like you have said? You guys are working together. Except you mean that it is possible to beat the CPDM as not in a coalition, as a single party.
Let me just answer. You know, as I said, we could rant the way we want to rant, but one thing is for sure, like
we are talking now.
We are talking now. Yeah. Now, what we have is that for simple, those who are on the field know that we are working. You know, my worry is when you represent people that it doesn't have that universal representation. It's like I say, Cameroonians are. I'm talking on behalf of this. When you look at it, Mr. Leo, I said most of the lectures here are not. They are not giving the lectures to new persons. If we are creating an impact today, it's not because we are getting lessons but today. But I'm not saying that people are old to learn. What I'm saying is, how you put it matters a lot. CRM, as we find it here, those who are watching me know what I'm talking about. There are times he does a program, they say, give me a number, I want to join. They are joining day in, day out. Now, I said in political analysis, since I see lectures politics, there are indicators of a party's message going across. And the indicators, they are variable factors. He's a lecturer. Let me get into political science now. And some of those variable factors will tell you what we call the feedback you get. Now, when you get feedback from diverse sources, it does not suffice to conclude on one corner of the feedback that you get to ascertain that that feedback becomes a universal feedback. What am I saying here? For what we do, I said, Jarvis understands, but sometimes he wants as if he does not understand. Like, as I said, we are on the ground every day. I have said we have reduced talking on media, and cell units are created every day. Now, you might give us an advice, churches and all the like. Every party has its agenda. Every party has its modus operandi. Advices are not refused, but it doesn't mean that because you have an ideology we should have been at the market and we are not there, it means that we are not there. These are the returns I want Cameroonians to understand. And like what he was talking about, you know, it's more than all the like. At the beginning of this year, I made mention here, we have a budget of about 6 billion. I'm sure some of you must have heard about that. And a contribution is currently going on. I don't want to go further into how it's going to do, what we have done, applying for account and all the like, to mean that we are prepared for that. I'm talking about CRM. And as I said, it's not all agenda that we must come and take it to the media that, no, CRM is currently raising, they are currently doing their fundraising, they're currently doing that within party members. One thing is for sure, is that I expect our analysis here, if they are just analysis, to ask a question. Before then, the 19th I talk about coalition, ABC, and that. How many people registered at that time? It was 3.something million at that.
No, you are making an error.
34, I'm coming.
Please, no, let me straight.
Yes,
the
correct.
issue is that we had 6.something million registered.
6 registered. I mean,
yeah,
go on.
But those who have been voting
are
3.something.
Okay,
which means
3.something.
But
I'm coming.
Yeah.
Now, if we have 6.something at that time, we'll talk about coalition. This is political analysis now. And at this time, the quarters are even increasing than the way they were before. In the 90s, we are 8 million plus. As I'm talking now, we have registered at the level of our intake. We have registered 870 from the time it opens. Masterminded by itself because we have a track record we keep. This is still January I'm talking about. And if I sit and tell you that we are sure, not only us alone, because it's a people, there are many churches are there, taking people to go register. I'm not talking about like it's MR something. The figures I know are the ones I'm talking about. And if I tell you that before June that could be announced and for it to end, we will still clock 13 million. Now the question is, if we are 8 million plus now, in the fight Dr. Dimancho puts, are we saying that those who went and added this number have not known that there are fights? No, they know. Are we saying that there are eucalyptus trees that added that number? No. I am letting to say that when I say Cameroonians are intelligent, I said it for a reason. That if they know the ranting is going, we have political education on the ground more than what we're talking here on the media. It means that for that bagrider man who has refused to vote before to register and then going to register now, that helps in swelling that list. Does not mean that he's a fool. It's because somebody somewhere told him that register this time it will change. That's why I say clean and clear. The agenda we have, which is ongoing, not bad, it is true, you are reporting what is there. But I think that the intelligent part of Cameroonians now know that what is important is for me to take part in the change. And to take part in that change is for me to go and register. Now, where I register, people who present their agenda along the line, I decide where to go. I've said people will be taken unaware as per this election. because I am confident as a ground operation person that the people we even have, just like Jarvis made a good analysis, the petrol you go to buy is not only for CPD people that is high. The rice you are going to buy, the price is not only. Which means that we have an intelligentsia class of Cameroonians who are not for any party as per se that they are linked to, but their question is that they have registered and they are going to follow a party's agenda that they think is what? Those ones are not party militants. That number itself is quite huge as I speak. And that's why I said that we could rant here and there. But the measuring rod we find, why is it that A is attacking B? The fight is increasing, yet the number of electorates keep increasing on the list. Is it that they are fooled, like Dr. Dimato said, people are fooled, this and that? Now, are we saying that this category that is increasing, by Gen binary ending, I will still give you an statistic from CRM, as per how many have added again? And they keep adding. The crusade is on. And if we look at this, that's why I said that what I'm not changing an agenda, but we CRM tell people that just register first. When we get to the bridge, you will know how to cross the bridge or decide how to cross the bridge even before then. We don't need an issue of, because if you are waiting for coalition, for us, we keep saying the divide and rule talks is already alarming. But the good thing, as I said, I can assure, that's why I had praised Eleka at a point in time when they went and launched the voter registration. And I praised even the Elekan boss in the Northwest, because they are always on the field to see that people should register. The number is increasing, yes. That structure is doing its own part, even if they have some loopholes. But while they're doing their own part, Cameroonians, for me, what we are doing here is like derailing them. We are analyzing well. The news factor is there. But CRM tells you, register first. Don't bother about the grammar you're saying. Correlation means we are not serious. Those who we are closer to know exactly where we are coming from and where we are heading to. But the change is inevitable.
Far. There is something that I'm not getting.
Yep.
We are trying to look at why there is a divide in the opposition. That is a topic that you cannot refuse the media to look on that. But what you are struggling to do here is, because there is going to be a day, maybe Thursday, we're going to look at what opposition parties are doing to get Cameroonians register massively. These are the things that you are supposed to be saying.
Yep.
But you want us to forget about the fact that there is division. It's like something is happening in the community. I don't want the media to talk about it.
No.
That's what we are doing.
No. On the contrary, Bisalio, I am not stopping media.
Are you saying that if there is a fight out there,
no,
you ask us not to look at it because...
I cannot do that.
But that's what you are doing.
What I'm saying is that it has been on the lamplight, on the coalition story. Whereas I think that while we are reporting, the analysis would subsequently, not in this program here, should be tilted towards letting the Cameroonians to register. That's what we CRM
have we not done that for years?
Excellent.
We have done that for years.
Excellent.
And today we decide to look at what has made news this weekend. You don't want us to look at it.
No, we're not stopping from making news.
You are doing that.
What I'm simply saying.
I asked you a question. You are saying.
Mr. Leo, I've answered my question.
When I will invite you on Thursday,
I have said divide and rule. I've said divide and rule. That one has a different topic on that.
Divide and rule?
There's divide and rule. You said it's for Thursday's meeting also. I'll come for that. So at the end of it, the simple thing I can say is that Cameroonians, why they are going on, I have said the sociological and anthropological company will continue. It is not. It would even intensify. Cameroonians should be aware. The division would even intensify as we move ahead. But what I am simply saying is that, as far as we are concerned, what touches me touches you, and the end point is people will get to a point whereby after registering, they will decide who to take and who to decide, which is their fundamental right. At the end of it, when I talk about divide and rule, it's for the simple reason that the agenda that we are operating on is for the simple fact that I must attack you, you must attack me, you must attack that. But CRM, quite right through Professor Maurice Kamto, picked up a point with the SG.
Orange au top pour enflammer les fêtes. Yeah, yeah, avec Orange, ah ouais, ça donne. Oh, mais ne fais pas ce qu'Orange nous met bien. Orange au chaud le fire. C'était fin d'année. Ne fais pas de jalousie. Ne fais pas sorcellerie. Peut-être que ces gens que t'en prie en plus. On seulement souscrit au bonus. Dis seulement Dieu merci pour le souffle de vie.
And they will take part. If we make, for example, if I maintained the analysis on the divide and rule, which is a fact now, it means that I will equally be somehow, indirectly, discouraging somebody who would have taken part in, like, as the master said, fool people sometime many times. I say it's an overstatement. Because on the spot they are fooling, but on the people who are registering, the number is swelling. Why? They are seeing the divide and rule, and they are intelligent to know between the divide and rule, between the arguments.
Okay,
who do they think they should wait behind?
If you are watching the program, I want us not to talk for ourselves, but to talk on your behalf. What do you think? Is the need for a coalition very important for you guys who are watching out there? How important is that call for a coalition? Or you think that political parties should go the way they want? Because we shouldn't talk for ourselves, accusing people here that it's a divide and rule. Let us also listen from what the people are saying. Please, can you just write to us so that I'll drop it in our forum far? Let us get what the people are saying. But let me take a few messages which we've received so far. Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's really terrible and unacceptable that up to this moment, opposition parties are still very divided in prelude to the upcoming presidential elections. Most of these opposition leaders are personal interests rather than general interests. Also, it's clear that Paul Biya will definitely win. Their personal interest, why they are going in as individual candidates, is to get money allocated for participants. They are just waiting there, and they will fail. They be waiting again for another 7 years to come, 2032, and so on. This is one of the things that contribute to voters' apathy. Though I register, I'm not sure I will vote. Desiree Job is writing from Yaoundé. Hello, Mr. Leo. Hope you are doing great. I think the failure of our opposition parties are governed by reasons such as ego. Nobody wants to be a subordinate to the other. Forming a coalition is a brilliant idea, but how can this work out when we have divided mindsets? Secondly, they don't trust each other. There is a lot of mistrust amongst opposition parties. Laziness and lies telling is also a handbag of most of these parties. To me, this coalition of a thing is far-fetched. Frank and Same writing there. This one says, I am Song in Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Leo. At the level of my family and village, we have been campaigning for massive registration against the upcoming presidential elections. But the opposition is going to fail us as they can't come together to fight the common enemy. We shall rally without any reflection behind opposition parties that will form a coalition. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and all in the studio. Coalition is very far-fetched because opposition parties are out to sell, but their political leaders, rather than focusing on bringing down the leading political party, and there is too much pride from some political parties who are saying that they are the best and most experienced party, and any party coming for coalition must adhere to their party rules. Valentine is writing from Adwala. These are the views coming from the field. I don't know whether they are paid to divide or they are divided to express what they are saying here. But now, can we envisage a moment where people look beyond their political interests? Because we all know what Cameroon is going through. We have a set of civil society guys who want to see Cameroon fixed. We have political leaders. Can we envisage a moment where we look beyond our party lines and say, okay, we want to salvage what Cameroon is currently experiencing?
I think we can, and we should, and we must. The truth here is that if we look at this nation, like I said in my previous remarks, is that we are at the crossroad. We are at the crossroad because for more than 60 years after we regained our independence, if you look at the issue of roads, it's still a major issue. We have issues of roads, and this is very terrible because whether you are Professor Maurice Kamto, Honorable Joshua Nambage will see, whether you are Cabral B, I think this is what we should be talking about. We should be talking about how we can join force to see that this issue of road, because even at the level of the CPDM, they also complain about road. Even the head of state, guarantor of the national security, commander of the armed force, said, acknowledged in his 31st address about the issue of roads, and even the Père de la Police actually acknowledged the issue of roads. So if you see across the government to the opposition And to everybody, the issue of road is what we should be talking about. And if opposition parties actually mean well for this nation, they'll be looking at issues and not things. They'll be looking at issues and not themselves. Because the truth here is that if you look at what happened in other nations, let me give you an example. In Kenya, William Ruto won because he formed a coalition. Many people don't know. It was a coalition between his now deposed deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, that came together. William Ruto was on the ticket with President Kenyatta. Now, President Kenyatta was the president and William Ruto was the vice president. They fell out, but William Ruto was kept as the vice president, but he was not given functions or things to do. At one point in time, he now had to form his party and met an opposition, and they all rallied based on what they think were Kenya's urgent needs. And whereas the president formed his own coalition with Raila Odinga, the main opposition party, thinking that they will win, and they never won. And if you look at the same thing that happened in Nigeria in 2022 between PAP party, they were the party in position, but they still had to form coalition with some other parties to actually keep their dominance. And they address issues. They came on issues. Don't ask me whether or not these issues have been resolved, but they focus on issues. All through the campaign was on issues. They talked about unemployment, they talked about insecurity, they talked about roads. And if you look at the other issues in the Gambia, how Yaya Jammeh was actually ousted from power, it was a coalition between Adama Barrow and other opposition party. Though that one, the coalition later had a problem after Adama Barrow won the election, because and I also understand fight somehow here when they're talking about the fear of coalition, because like what happened in the Gambia, where Adama Barrow and the other opposition member came together, they kicked out Yaya Jammeh. But after there was a transition period of 3 years. After 3 years, they said, Mr. Adama Barrow, we came together and chased out Yaya Jammeh. 3 years has passed. Adama Barrow said that, no, I was voted as the president of Gambia. I was not voted as a transitional president under the opposition coalition agreement. However, we must look at the realities of Cameroon. And I've asked a question like Dr. Dimancho rightly puts it. In research, it is fact-based, what we call empirical literature. Empirical literature, what others have written about a particular topic. And now you have to look for the gap if what is happening now will actually reflect to what others have written, or there is that need for a different theory. And I will say it, Mr. Alo, without any fear of contradiction, that the challenges we are facing now in Cameroon are enormous. That a party should not be telling themselves that I am bigger than you or I am not bigger than you, because across all the different divisions, the peace-loving people are in dire need of. Cannot even take them halfway for them to check. Everybody's complaining. Is it at the level of Moya? Is it at the level of Douala? Is it at the level of Guluku? Is it at the level of Sabongari? Is it at the level of Emwa, Nkun, Atong, Oshen, Jikwa, Wilikum? Where? Now, these political parties had just one focus to ask themselves, because there is something that they are not addressing. And they are further giving these same people who are willing to vote but may have excuse not to vote because of the fact that if we vote, what will happen? Who will we vote for? And the reason is because this fighting further pushes those who are on the fence, who are saying that maybe I was considering to vote, but looking at what is happening, I don't think I should go and vote. Like you read the message, somebody said that I've registered, but I don't think I'll vote. Because this infighting further pushes people who are hanging on the fence. I'm happy the Ngafon talked about the fact that 8 million have registered. But the truth here is that if you look at this trajectory as this fighting is going on, it will make a lot of people not to go and vote. A lot of people may end up not voting. And if you look at if you look at the 1992, it was about 6 million registered voters. The number that went to vote, half that number. And we are talking about 8 million today. And I will be sure that of that 8 million, if polls are called in October, about 4 million vote. Because you have to consider those probably who are registered who are sick, those probably who registered during a particular period who died along the way, those people who were also transferred. These are data that nobody talks about. People just look about the figure, the 8 million, the 8 million, the 8 million. Those who are traveled out of Cameroon, those who are probably in areas where they could not vote. These are data that you cannot isolate. So in modern politics, parties are supposed to have these options and look at how do we get the undecided. And now there are those who are hanging on the fence. When I talk about the issue of visiting churches, we are not refusing that parties are not working, Mr. Fai. We are not refusing that they are not working. What me I'm saying is that there's what we call a push factor and a popularity movement. A push factor is that factor that will make somebody who was undecided to say, hey, the what this people are doing, I think I'll go and register tomorrow. Because working on the ground, in the Bible, I'm happy you're a Christian. It says that you cannot light a lamp and put it under the table and hide it. Which means that you cannot be saying you are walking on the ground and hide it. That's why they say a city built on the hill can never be hidden. So let us shine like the light of the world. And when you see political gymnastics of other nations, it's not different from that of Cameroon. In Cameroon, we claim that no, Cameroon is so unique. And I'll tell you, Mr. Kum, if you look at what is happening, any day that election is going on in any country, look at the energy that these parties put across. And you ask yourself, do you feel that kind of energy in Cameroon? Do you feel it? If these parties actually meant well for Cameroonians, and as they are saying, what they should be doing is that they should give Cameroonians the opportunity to listen to them. Have town halls, come to the media, have live program, let them send you messages, let the people send you messages, and you answer their worry. But since 6 years ago till now, they have some selected media, and I can tell you that it is in a proportion of single-digit appearance that they may have had on TV and on radio for 6 years. Like Dr. Dimancho said that he should feel.
Far is here every day.
No, I'm saying that the main those who are the vision bearers. The vision bearers are those. Fai will tell us that this is what the CRM had. But Professor Maurice Kamto actually explain how he intends to carry it out, how he intends to do it, how he thinks that this can be done, how he thinks that because he is a person that can make policy, and someone may ask him a question and he decide to change the policy. We watched Donald Trump on several town halls when some of the policies that he actually brought during the campaign were based on town hall, like the no tax on tip. He went to a restaurant and somebody told him that Mr. you are campaigning for president, but these are the challenges we have, and that was his number one, no tax on tips, and he actually succeeded in that. So my worry is that opposition parties need to look at the 7 things that Cameroon have as objective. Number 1, corruption. This is what they should help us fight. Bags of rice were given during COVID. Till now, we have not had accountability of those bags of rice. We don't know where they are, who had them, and so on. Second, education. Nigeria just 4 days ago decided to restructure their curriculum and made some subjects compulsory: hairdressing, carpentry, tiles making, installation of TV, and electronic manufacturing and agriculture compulsory from primary school to senior secondary school. Compulsory. These are the things that we need education. The third is security. How is going to be solved? Fai can tell us how CRM position is, but Professor, why and what the position is, but Professor Kamto will tell us how, and he can best explain this to us Cameroonians. So what we are saying is that instead of hiding in the comfort of their zone and sending their surrogates to surrogate for them, it is the time when they need to shuttle from one platform to one platform, and one occasion to one occasion, one church to one church, one choir to one choir. Explain to these people how, and it will galvanize them to come to the pool. If not, you are a lamb that's been hitting under the table, and the question is, can that lamb shine across the eye? It is best for opposition to come together.
Yeah, but what is paramount today? Is it the position of the political party or the general interest of Cameroon? Do you see them fighting actually to turn things around, or to position themselves as either the president of the republic or the second best opposition party or the leading opposition party? When you look at those who have declared, do they have what it takes to unseat the current regime, not in a coalition?
I think that they are rather fighting to see who would be more visible and more considered than the other sister or brother political party. This is what I've seen so far. I have not seen someone who is hungry and thirsty for the regime or to take power at the 2D.
No, but we've seen Professor Maurice come to
well, that is why I'm giving. You have asked me a question, I'm giving an answer. Yeah, you have seen, I haven't seen.
Okay.
So what I see is a kind of a fight between them. And you know, we are talking about even the coalition. And when we say this as a civil society, sometimes people think that we say this because we are somewhere living in another planet and talking. You know, we are like playing the referee. Sometimes the referee may have his own team at heart, but he must play justice. And this is what the civil society does. That we have Cameroon at heart, but we must hit hard because we love the right thing to be done, even though we may not openly show our position or our likeness for a particular team. And that is why we speak generally. Here, I don't come to condemn MRC. I don't come to condemn the SDF. I don't come to condemn PSRN. I don't come to condemn UDC and all the other parties. I come to say differently and, I mean, you know, worldly, you know, generally, what they should stand for. Because when I come and say we need a coalition and we are 6 months to election, what do I mean? What I mean here is that the coalition, we know is a process. The coalition is not something you get up one day and you do to tell us that, okay, we are marking on time and then at the nick of time we are going to do. Because there's what they call the memorandum of understanding when it comes to a coalition. To have a coalition is one thing, and to have the internal organization and accept the terms of the coalition is another.
Without destroying the party.
That is it, of the party that are coming to the coalition. Together. So that's why I say it's a process. It is not something that you will go and sit in one party house or in one snack or in one bar or one hotel and then decide that tomorrow, okay, we have come together. This person you are going to lead up. No, it is a process where you agree on the terms, on the MOU, memorandum of understanding. At the end of the party, when we must have won, what will happen? The other parties at least will continue functioning. But what is going to happen now, you that has carried our flag, this is what coalition is all about. And therefore, usually when we talk here on television, as I'm talking, we go to the people. We have a different narratives. It's not as if I go to the people and condemn them. No, because when you even talk about the registration, that is actually going up and conflicting. It is thanks to the civil society. We have been in the field. It is not just about the political parties who have been doing. We have the media has been doing. We do, and we even go doing human investment to let the people know that this is the example we want to show. And when we go to do human investment somewhere, we are inclusive. We are not fastidious. We are doing something that is for the benefit of the people. We are not selective. It's like not like a political party will come here and select and say, this quarter we have our party members or what. We are doing something that is general for the population. And when we do for the population, the message we are sending across is that we want a better Cameroon for everybody. That is the message of the civil society. We do not want a better Cameroon just for the members of this party. And that's when we go to carry out a human investment. We do for everybody. We do for the quarter. We do for the town. This is what happened. And I think, I'll come back to Mr. Kum's question. When you look at the way things have been going and the way there has been this internal wrangling, between the parties, you understand that there is more to it, because you see that you don't look, when you look at particular party leaders who sit at the level of authority. Because at the time my Jarvis talked about party leaders coming to the TV even to talk. Many of them, I have not seen many anyway, there are few who come, perhaps because those few don't have militants. I must say this. Yes. That's why they come. Just and we must say the truth as it is. Most of those parties we call, they are at least the parties that are at the top in Cameroon. Of course, I must recommend that the MRC is one of the top parties that we have in Cameroon. That one, the fact must be told. And that they actually have a followership. But this followership doesn't mean that the leader should remain at the level of authority and all the other persons at the level of solidarity, even the media. He should also be able to come back and talk. He is not supposed to be begged, to be lured, to be cajoled to come to the media. He is supposed to willingly he's supposed to ask and come with alacrity. He's not supposed to be begged. This is what we are talking about. That I would love to listen to Mr. Maurice Kamto, not only on the 31st, and that he can even come here and grant an interview or maybe 2 hours. Yes, and send messages and he explains to them. It's good he's sending you are the communication, so that is fine.
He can just explain what and
what
where.
They
cannot explain the how.
That is it. And that is why we think that different temperament, different situation warrants on different responses, different capacity of people, different authorities give different responses to different questions as asked, and it can never be the same. What he can stand here and say, and maybe even modify some even clauses in your constitution, maybe because he has listened to people say, you may not have the capacity to do that. And that's why the leader is always important to speak. When we hear world leaders coming out to talk, to the people on the media. It
Back to
is not,
back.
but it is not because they lack what to do, or it's not because they are less important. No, it is because they feel that the people have to listen to them. I listened to when Barack Obama was there. There's a lady who I listened to on CNN who started the day and she shed tears and asked, "Does this man really sleep? Does this man really sleep?" And she was talking with that kind of a side, I mean, she had the feelings for Barack Obama that he comes to talk on the TV every time to explain to the people that everything happens, he comes to explain.
Even
Things
the
happen.
last day of US election,
Exactly.
we saw Trump was
That's the thing.
finished in his voice.
I'm telling you, things happen, he comes out to explain. This one happened, you come out to explain. So you think that they lack what to do, that we can always say, how then different will it be? Because it will be the same syndrome that when you take power tomorrow, you'll be on the 31st, we hear you, and then on the 10th of February, we hear you. This is the same practice that is going to be followed. This is a tradition that is going to follow. Why? Because in Africa, we form leaders who lord it over the people. Leaders who feel that for them to be considered real leaders, they have to be able to separate themselves from the people and live in a different zone where the people live in a different kind of zone. And therefore, for them to come to speak is supposed to be like something like some good that they are doing to the people. It is not good. It is responsibility of the leaders that they have to carry out. So all of these things, when we summarize all of this, we think that sometimes the leaders are just there for themselves. It is like they are looking for their own personal glory. And that is why we are careful. When I say we are careful, it doesn't mean that we are careful not to vote. We are just careful to see what is happening, because registration is different from voting. Let us mark this. Registration is different from voting. Yes, you may have, at the final analysis, we made this concerted action we are carrying out, because I also, agree to the fact that you are doing a lot of work. This concerted action may give maybe 50 million registered voters, but it may not guarantee us that 4 million will come out and vote, because these people are registering and they are watching. They are careful. That's why my issue of careful, I didn't explain. They are registering and they are careful and watching. Because up to now, I can say that half of those who have registered do not yet know who they are going to vote. Personally, I do not yet know. I'm talking as an individual, not as civil society. Because nobody has really come out like this to convince the people. Yes, you may convince. There are some people who call diehard in politics, who say that if you say come, we will say come and let us go, and they are following. Of course, people have been following your man, your leader, which is a good thing. He said come and let's go, come and let's go. People are just following. They are not asking where we are going to. Those are fanatics of the politician, which of course is good. Those one will always vote. Whether that person even makes a mistake on the way, their heart is like as if they are taking block park. It is fine, they'll vote. But there are some people who are so skeptical and who think that you must convince them to do. And that conviction is something important you must do, and must do with humility. That conviction, even though everybody is suffering, some people have an impression that though we are suffering, you will come there tomorrow and eat alone. So we must convince the people that it will be Manje and Sam.
Yeah, but can we also understand why the CRM has come under heavy attack? Is it because, like some people say, it's because they are genuine, or the fact that you guys have not convinced them enough?
One thing is for sure,
because people, when we look at the statistics of the last presidential elections, you guys came top, which would mean that, okay, if we were to converge, the converge should be towards the CRM. But why all these attacks?
one thing is for sure, you get to a point that if you don't bear good fruits, if you don't bear fruits, people will not throw stones at them to harvest the fruits. That's one of the sure facts. And there are indications. That's why sometimes they say if you want to be to ascertain your belief, the level of your faith in Christ, you must be persecuted. It's very obvious. And it could be persecuted by the majority. It's very obvious. But I think that away from that, Mr. Leo, the indications of where CRM stands still means that we'll get more shots at us more than what we're getting now.
Okay.
And I think we are prepared for that. Prepared for that not because we cannot be shot at, but because we know where we are going to. CRM knows where we're coming from and where we're going to. Dr. Dimacho just made something which was quite correct here, like the issues of your map, corruption, and all the like. We have mentioned that. The last arrest that we had was because we're marching against corruption, against the war in Northwest, Southwest, and all the like. I think we have stood the test of time, all of that. One thing is for sure, like what Dr. Dibacho said, I said, let me just put this point there. The fact that probably Professor Mori does not come on air available as per se, to me, it should not be interpreted like an aspect of sitting on a Trojan horse. It is for the simple reason that the party is structured in a way that the time for him to come is obviously very, very near. Let me be honest with that. I speak as a communication officer in that. It's very near, but what we wanted to do first, which we are doing, is to lay the groundwork. As I told you, those who are watching me, I don't want to be calling places, they understand what we've been, from the Northwest, for example, where you will get things that you never knew before in the Northwest. You get things that you never knew before in the Southwest. The finishing touches for the other regions are currently going on. And that's why I said any party has a strategy. And that's why we might not impose strategies on parties, because parties that wear the shoes know exactly where it pinches more than us who could be observing. But it does not cancel the fact that people should not have a say, because people should have a say on how they think we should be, which is what I'm getting on the platform, which is very correct. But at the same time, the parties have the right to reserve some particular strategies and put them out when they deem necessary along the line. And so, for what you just asked, one thing is for sure. The last results we had, I'll just say that was just a tip of iceberg, that we probably as the leading for the as per the last result. No. This time we are not for leading. As the indications, we are for takeover. It will not be business as usual. I've been saying this, and I'll say this till we get to the time. Why do I say so? Like Jarvis analyzed, we have people who are active in politics. There are some who are just on the fence watching, and there are others who are nowhere to be found. Like Dr. Dimacho does not even know who to vote as per now, which still brings to doubt his intellectual capacity as to where he stands. Because with his intellectual capacity,
that's an insult.
I'm coming. I'm talking about politics. We're talking here, not the academic part of it. Don't bother about that. Why? Because where he stands, just like any other person, if the mama in Munya is still doubting who to vote, I can understand. If the mommy in the Kiliwindi is still saying, but I don't know, that's here in how, that SDF in how, I could understand. But for us highly intellectuals to say we have not even decided where to as of now, there's a question mark. I don't want to go further to that. Yeah, I'm not refusing. That's why I'm saying that there's a question mark. I have the right to my opinion, yes, and you have the right to your opinion. So what we are saying simply is that the CRM obviously will get more on that. And what we are currently doing is the ground we are going, convincing is going on. We must not necessarily force ourselves through to people, but I think from the way we are going, where we can get to is where we will get to, and we are going according to our capacity. But one thing is for sure, I said a while ago, you want to know whether this pear is good or not, is if the pear tree, each time children are closing from school, they stand under to pick ripe pears, or they are throwing stones at that pear, or guava. Let me take guava, because you have sour guava and sweet guava. You get to know whether it is worthwhile. So at the end where we are, the dial is cast. I keep saying there's no business here because we are sure of where we're going to. That's why I keep thanking Cameroonians. I made a statement here, Cameroonians are intelligent. And I know that I cannot convince Cameroonians on what is not correct for them to go in. The rhetoric has changed. It will not be a matter of, like we're talking about, that you have to go further to keep preaching and preaching and preaching for somebody to understand you. Because Jarvis said something which was correct here, that the things that happen are affecting everybody, irrespective of the party where you belong to. And as I said before rounding up here, that the Cameroonians know exactly, as I speak now, a handful of them, let me not say all of them, because it can never be all of them. A handful of Cameroonians know, like those who meet us backstage, no worry, this is that. The number is swelling, but we are working on the probability. And as I said, the stakes are high in that most of those who went to register are people who had totally refused to register. We will only convince them that just register because things can change around. Give a
Orange au top pour enflammer les fêtes. Yeah, yeah, avec Orange, ah ouais, ça donne. On ne fait pas ce qu'Orange nous met bien. Orange est sur le fire. C'était fin d'année. Ne fais pas de jalousie. Ne fais pas sur le lit. Peut-être ces gens que t'en pries en plus. On seulement souscrit au bonus. Dis seulement Dieu merci pour le souffle de vie.
all assisted. And that's the more reason why we have not relented our efforts.
The other political parties have been on ground doing.
Yes, they have been on ground. That's why I said that it's a collective effort. But my indication, my testing is the fact that in the midst of this January, I talk about 800 and something that we have registered on our part, that we take note. I don't know about the others because I know others are at work. I have passed through the point in Bonaberi. I saw some other parties convincing people to register and they were standing on the line, which means that Cameroonians are now on the alert. And I think that I don't want to take one person's idea to mix with other. The fact that Cameroonians are more of them are alert and getting to register means that majority of those who are going in will have a say, coalition or no coalition. They will decide our fate with the parties, and it's for sure.
Yeah, but somebody says I've registered my entire family waiting for the coalition. Whoever engages in a coalition, we're going for the person. Is that the fate of so many persons? I'm expecting you guys to express your minds on this. If you're watching, send a text message. I'm going to.
And we have APC coalition.
Mr. Kum, I will tell you with all certainty that there are a lot of people who will register tomorrow if they hear that there's a strong coalition. You will see the swearing of the electoral list if they announce coalition. These are data on the ground. There are we call these persons undecided. There are people like down at himself. You have to see how he go. He go see win. Nobody opposition they be divided. You might talk your own thing. Now the day that there will be a feasible announcement of coalition, I pray that it should be before the close of polls of registration. The day you will see mass rush. Second, there are a lot of people who have registered who probably are waiting for coalition because they understand the dynamic. They have done their research. They knew and they know that looking at the reality now. What most of these our parties are doing, they are focusing on what we call in research normative. Normative is what ought to be, but that is not what is. What is now as a reality is based on past precedent. In 2018, after 2018, they look at 2011. After 2011, they go to 2005 or 2002. After that, they now go to 1990. They now look at this precedent. What has been happening before? And I will tell you that in this time, Cameroonians are more divided than they were in 1992. The opinion of civil society also is now more divided. And for this division to come to an end, it will need a coalition. Because if I see that MRC is in a coalition with Senior Barrister Keremuna, then I see that they are in a coalition with Honorable Joshua Nambagi Osi, and all of us who were attacking each other, we will down our arms and now we form one common front. We will now say that, hey, these people are together, why are we? And wherever Honorable Joshua Nambagi is strong, where MRC is weak, they will cover up there. And this is the geopolitics. This is what it takes now to win Cameroon election. The map, electoral map. Northwest and Southwest will be the what we call the swing state. If you are able to have a certain quota, littoral, west, north are the areas that may decide the election. In this area, then now you go to Northwest and Southwest as a swing state where you can get a good number of thousands of votes from that area, from this area, you now put in place. Now this is what coalition will do. If you are weak in the north, you have the UDC in the north. You have another party, NUN, in the west. If you can come together where SDF is strong, especially in the Northwest and Southwest, MRC will back SDF there and the party will give the election to the coalition. You go to the western region and part of Littoral and Littoral itself, where MRC is strong, where SDF is weak, or other political parties are weak. The few SDF party that would have gone to SDF will now come as one under the coalition. You go to where in the north, where MRC is a bit strong and SDF is a bit strong, the two join their force together. It will give you the number of votes that you need to add to Douala, to add to Yaoundé, to add to other areas to tally. Because in Cameroon, it is popular vote. It is the total number of popular votes you have. It's not whether you win in Northwest or you win in Southwest. You go to the eastern part of Cameroon, you just need to get some few votes. Get a party there to add to the coalition. It gives you some few number of votes. And I will tell you, like Mr. Kum asked the question, the day that all this coalition will have good, at least 3 parties, credible parties, that announce that we are going to coalition or we are forming a coalition, you will be shocked. When Dr. Dimanjo talked about the fact he has not yet decided who to vote for, I saw you said it is intellectual, probably dishonesty. Intellectually, I have to decode it that way. But the truth is simple. We have not listened to these party candidates to tell us how. We have not. Probably you have, because you are with them and they tell you how. They have not told us the how. In their manifesto, they have told us what they will do. I will do this, I will do this, I will do that. Oh, Cameroon will become an El Dorado in the next few minutes. It will be, how will you make Cameroon an El Dorado? How will you fight corruption? And there are follow-up questions that we are not able to ask them. We have not been able to ask them this follow-up question because they have just come in a televised address and explained to us. But now, we cannot ask you a follow-up because you are not in that position of defining policies. You are a spokesperson, or you understand the party's position, but now there are some follow-ups that we can get directly from the leader. Most of these, how many of them have been back to back? Do you know that if they come to my church, I'll ask them question, even after the mass, I'll get to one-on-one. I have not yet decided, and so many Cameroonians have not decided because I have not listened to them, and they are not explained how. If we say Cameroonians have decided by listening to them now, or what they said in 35, it's a lie. Majority of Cameroonians, I'm happy they're watching us, majority have not had that time. How many of them have actually organized town halls? How many of them have actually organized town halls? No, it's a meet the people. It's one of the ways. How many of them have gone to churches, on the spring of churches, to visit? Let's keep away town halls. How many of them have visited the market? Is it also a taboo? How many of them have actually gone to some of those places, or to have lecture or online? Let's say the government will, as they always tell us, will stifle them. How many of them constantly have weekly Facebook live of interaction, TikTok live interaction? How many? So we can actually have a follow-up, Mr. President, this thing like this, Mr. President, I think like this. Then from that review, you can know, because what my boss is always giving, as what Cameroonians are saying, parties will argue, but these are the realities. The social media is there. How many of them grant? Let's say they don't want to come to the media. How many of them go live on a regular basis? They have what we call post-production. They record, they edit, and they give. They have spoken to Cameroonians, and we don't have the time to ask how. And like Dr. Dimanjo said, for far too long, we have been in a system where the media doesn't have that power to ask how. In people of authority, in other countries, we see their regular press briefings where you have the right to be in a press. You know what I'm saying? That you have the right to be in a state house.
Okay, we are going to take this. I want to read this message, that declaration from the chiefs who were traditional rulers who were meeting in Yaoundé today in an enlarged executive meeting that took place at the Yaoundé Congress Hall, and a declaration that has been making news on social media. I will take a read to it. I hope we switch over to this declaration of traditional rulers. They met today in Yaoundé Congress Hall. They say the situation meeting of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Cameroon was held at the Yaoundé Conference Center on Monday, 27 January 2025, with the Minister of Territorial Administration in attendance. 2 items were on the agenda, namely the setting up of the new permanent bureau of the council following the demise of its President, Secretary of State, Alim Hayatu, who also doubled as former Lamido of Ugarwa. Second point, a statement from traditional rulers of Cameroon on the current political situation. It reads, after setting up the new bureau, taking into consideration the specificities of our 10 regions, the traditional rulers deemed it necessary to issue the following declarations. In his end-of-year address to the nation on the 31st of December 2024, the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, made a vivid assessment of the government's action during the just ended year, and then drew a clear roadmap for the year 2025 The President of the Republic left out no sensitive topic affecting the life of the nation and Cameroonians. Through this frank speech, the traditional rulers of Cameroon understood that the President of the Republic intends to correct certain malfunctions that hamper the development of our beautiful country, Cameroon, and are detrimental to the well-being of our people. The statement from the President of the Republic: I can assure that my resolve to serve you remains steadfast and grows stronger by the day as we address the immense challenges facing us, caught the attention of the traditional rulers of Cameroon. In light of the above, the Council of Traditional Rulers of Cameroon deemed it opportune to take a clear and unequivocal stand on matters that take central stage to most Cameroonians, that is the presidential election program for this year. First and foremost, the traditional rulers of Cameroon would like to thank the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, for giving traditional chiefdoms the place it deserves in our country. First, second, and third class traditional rulers now receive a monthly allowance and are part of the institution of the Republic, where they hold important posts of responsibility. When the regional councils were set up, the head of state decided to involve traditional leadership in the electoral college and used his discretionary authority to ensure that the post of vice president was given to traditional rulers. In recognition of this constant concern, the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Cameroon, after thorough assessment of the political atmosphere in Cameroon, have decided to give their full and unflinching support to the candidacy of His Excellency Paul Biya in the forthcoming presidential elections. Cameroon is a complex state which needs an experienced statesman at its helm. The experience, wisdom, patriotism, and foresight of President Paul Biya are undeniably and irrefutable assets and qualify for our country in this increasing uncertain world. As auxiliaries of the administration, the traditional rulers of Cameroon, through this solemn and republican commitment, assure public authorities of their full readiness to support all the measures that will be taken to ensure the smooth running of the forthcoming presidential elections in a peaceful, calm, and serene atmosphere, as promised by the head of state, His Excellency President Paul Biya, in his address to the nation on the 31st of December 2024. The traditional rulers hereby pledge to support the administration in its duty to protect persons and property before, during, and after the presidential elections. The traditional authorities remain convinced that peace excuse me, these messages that are coming, peace is priceless, and therefore, and this order is of no good to anyone. It is worth recalling that on this assessment, oh, the messages are really disturbing, please. It is worth recalling that on his ascension to the Supreme Magistracy on the 6th of November 1982, President Paul Biya received the approval and blessings of the traditional rulers of Cameroon. Since then, these traditional rulers have supported the head of state in his esteemed and delicate mission at the helm of our dear and beautiful country. Major challenges have been faced and obstacles overcome. Thanks to President Paul Biya, Cameroon remains a peaceful, upright, stable, and respected and admired country. Our support for The candidacy of His Excellency President Paul Biya is therefore aimed at affirming and reaffirming the commitment made by the traditional rulers of Cameroon in 1983 to support republican institutions and President Paul Biya, who incarnates them at all times. Done in Yaoundé today, the 27th of January 2025. This was rumored since yesterday, but the declaration has come out, and it is very clear that the traditional rulers of Cameroon say they are strongly and are giving their unflinching support to President Paul Biya as they look forward to him standing as a candidate for 2025 presidential elections.
Sergio, I must say that I'm baffled.
Okay.
Yes, because this I didn't see this coming. I didn't see this coming, even though they have reiterated here about the powers they gave the President of the Republic when he took over office in 1982. And well, we who know about the rules and the powers of the traditional ruler, especially the funds, from where I come from, know that the funds are immortal, and those are people who live and live forever. They only journey and then they come back. Now, but to get this kind of a pronouncement from the traditional rulers, yes, some issues come into my head now, because I reminisce what happens with the declaration of some bishops in Cameroon, and they receive some kind of pejorative kind of statement from some top government officials, and one of the persons who actually lambasted the bishop, the Bishop Riagwa, was a traditional leader who took part in this meeting, and is none other than Kavaye Yege Jibri, who said the Pope need to convoke the Bishop of Riagwa for his statement about the presidency. And many were of the opinion, I mean government ministers and top officials, of the opinion that the church pronouncement or the bishop's pronouncement, individual pronouncement, should not be allowed, and that the bishops should remain in their cathedrals. And this was echoed clear to the hearing of everyone. Now to come here and get this kind of a release from the traditional rulers, I cry now for our political parties and for the opposition. Who did this to our tradition? This is another question. This is a question for another day. When they come and pronounce the way they have, even though they have pronounced it as an association, are they doing it as individuals, or they are doing it as cheferis, or they are doing it as fondoms, as palaces, as lamida, whereby they have the power to actually order everybody from their traditional sphere of rule to vote for Paul Biya, as they are saying. So I think that these are some of the issues that are causing a lot of conflict in our traditional settings, because most of these political opposition leaders are members of these cheferis, are members of these palaces, are members of this lamida. And when a lamida who is supposed to be a peace broker, who is supposed to be somebody who is, I mean, who runs an arena, and that arena is an arena of peace, whereby anybody who coming from any direction comes there and he's welcome, and then a fon or a chief or whoever pronounces this to say that they are giving their votes, or they are giving unconditional support to the head of state. Now this calls for concern, because now people will now start asking question whether, okay, because there will be now this infighting, and some people have asked question why the funds even got involved into politics, to say that they have to be able to, give some kind of weight to a political leader, because this has caused a lot of issues in some settings, in traditional settings, whereby if you belong to the SDF, or you belong to a CPD, or you belong to MRC, and your fund maybe is of the UDC, what happens is that the fund is supposed to have that party in his heart. But when you get to this traditional setting, you find that the Kalisa posters of all of their parties in those palaces. Now the question comes: can the fund be able to deliver justice? Free-handedly. If I come to the palace and we are talking about issues of politics, can the fund be able to deliver justice? This letter that you read just came to actually it preempted the points I wanted to talk about, because when we were talking about the political party consolidating power, one of the people that they actually have to consolidate powers with, or consolidate support, are even the traditional rulers, to keep them at peace and to make sure that their people choose their leaders actually from their heart and not coerced by anybody or by money. Now, but when I get this letter now to show that the funds now cannot more deliver that justice, that electoral justice with fairness, then this calls for reconcern, and I will begin to ask whether this is really going to happen. Added to the fact that our electoral code is already very complicated for opposition parties to win an election, which already the fact. Added to the fact that in Cameroon we have over 25,000 polling stations, and that for a single political opposition party who depends on personal funding to be able to supervise observers in 25,000 polling stations is already an uphill task. This adds now to the plenty of problems that we are going to have. And I must say that when I saw the photos coming from Yaoundé, and I saw the comments on social media, and this already started separating people at the crucial moment when we thought that the funds should really remain in their palaces, remain in their cheffery, as the bishops are doing. You remember here that the bishops remain in cathedral. You saw what the declaration in Buya was unbiased. I mean, it was a general call for Cameroonians to use their consciences to choose. I thought the bishop of, the traditional rulers would have asked Cameroonians to use their traditional morale, as they are brought up with in Cameroon to be able to vote. But this one, they have gone partisan, and they are actually with that vehement spirit and making kind of an appel at populum to come out and vote for the current head of state. Then, what are the stakes? What are the stakes? I am a traditional title holder. I am a sheikh from Noni. Meaning that if my phone is part of this, and I say I have my party at hand, do you think I am going to move well with my phone? It is already a beginning of conflict.
And by culture, you are not supposed to disrespect
and by comfort,
phone.
And by comfort culture, the phone is always right, because we know that the phone never dies. We know that the phone travels, and that is where that fear comes from. And with that spirit, with that mentality, we know that the phone is always right. And therefore, if the phone makes this pronouncement, when I say that is right, and now knowing that I have my party at hand, where I have my manifesto that I have to put forth, this is a beginning of conflict.
Okay, yes. Has your party reacted to this call already as a CRM?
No, my party has not yet responded to that, and we might or might not really react to that. For the simple reason that we call that still the continuation of distraction, because at each time that people want to concentrate on registering, there is a particular issue that will come in, to dissuade Cameroonians from the core issue. So what they have done their own part. I will call it the kangaroo communique, yes. And the way it tells you that many things are at stake. As I said, the attacks on political parties, the divide and rule from the traditional, it will still multiply. We'll still have more that is coming. It's a carefully cooked mechanism within the ranks and files of the system that will keep Cameroonians, if they are not very aware, to be fighting, chasing the shadow when we have the main object. And that's why I said, coming from Bafut Palace, I was so overwhelmed with the things I got revolving around the Bafut fandom, that you will not see the traditional ruler in any politics. You will not see him dining in any direction that will keep him supporting or keep him aligning with one part of his village away from another. I think Gunoko village to the same line with the Royal Majesty Dr. Fomiki Waters, and of course the phone who had traveled from Baba One, that was my second home, was also in that line, not aligning with politics. And so at the end of it, I think that fandoms that don't align with politics will never adhere to such communique, which already puts that tension of divide and rule amongst them as to whether I'm there or I'm took part or I'm agreeing or not. So as I said, we will not want to take into that on our part, knowing that it is still part of the digression that is carefully put in place by the mechanism, so that while the first are nodding their head, we understand the communique of recent, which the president of the Northwest House of Chief complained. It's a worry that they are still, from his communique, tells you that they are not still very satisfied as to the way in which they have been empowered as per se. And if you look at it critically, you realize that all of these jigsaw puzzle games that are coming in at the level of the traditional rulers, whether they are aligning behind President Paul Biya or not, still goes a long way to keep us at a diverse point of view which will still, if people are not very intelligent enough, to keep them away from the main issue. So, grosso modo, what has happened, and we think that...
Are you not worried that you should walk into any palace and be received as a son of the soil? But when funds themselves already say, okay, Cameroon is a complex state that requires somebody who's experienced, and they see that experience in President Paul Biya. How do you feel going out to meet?
No, I don't have
funds who already have told you that we need an experienced statesman like President.
Yes, it is a worry. Let me be honest with you. It is a worry, and that's why it's already telling me that if I want to work in my investigative part of it, I will feel more comfortable with funds that are not into that direction than those that are in that direction.
How will you know?
But now. No, nevertheless,
they spoke on behalf of the
funds. Yes, they spoke on behalf of the funds. But I want
you truly cannot know what the
funds. No, they spoke on behalf of the funds. But I think when we'll be getting to them on the ground, from their reactions, like a fund who is to receive you freely and start complicating receive you, you will know that that particular communique is acting on him.
He may still receive you, smile and dine wine with you, but when you are moving, you looking like this.
Yes, you are very right. Well, if it looks a bit like that, I think the feedback will not take long. No, the feedback will certainly get, because the truth is that the dynamics will change. A fund who knows that you used to come for this particular interview and then start behaving a type, you will start suspecting that something could be wrong. But what they are saying is the reality that those behaviors will come up. But I think that the main issue here is that while they are deciding, we to be deciding where to go. I'll be free with Bafut, for example, and a host of others whom I know that they are not into partisan politics.
Are you not indirectly exposing the fund of Bafut to say that he is not in solidarity with his peers who took that decision?
No, I'm not the spokesperson of Bafut. What I'm simply saying is that the fund of Bafut is for everybody, which means he does not mingle. I'm not the spokesperson of Bafut, but I'm saying from where I'm coming from Bafut, is that the fund of Bafut is a father to everybody.
Okay.
And therefore, I know that particular fund will not align to things that will put him in division with his people. If you talk about Gunoko, where I'm the mouthpiece of, I'll tell you that Gunoko is not part of that. Let me say it here clear and clear. Gunoko will not be part of that, and Gunoko will never be part of that kind of kangaroo-oriented speech, because the fund of Gunoko is a fund to all the parties, whether you belong to which party. Come there and you would be received equivocally. So in that case, I can talk about Gunoko where I come from as a mouthpiece of the fund, that Gunoko cannot be part of that kind of communique. Anybody who wants to align with it has a right to align the way they want to do. But the main issue is that I will talk as an individual, that anybody who feels...
Is your village not part of the Council of Traditional Rulers of Cameroon?
It is part of the Council of Traditional Rulers, but I've said we are not part of it. If you are come and search, for example...
You're making your fund a rebel to this...
Not a rebel. The fund has a right to decide.
They voted these guys.
No, Mr. Leo. If I give you the mandate to represent me, and you go and do things ultra vires, it doesn't mean that I must align with you.
You are in Douala. Maybe your fund was there.
No. I have said that communique cannot match with Gunoko village.
Yes.
Let those funds who took that here very well.
Okay. How do we understand this posture of the funds and the chiefs of Cameroon? Are they going to engage in another battle of explaining why they took this decision, or as our fathers? No explanation.
You know, when the Anglophone crisis started, we started hearing black leg phone, red leg phone, and this will further bring in the black legism and the red legism in terms of the national politics. The funds have therefore brought out a theory where many will say this is hypocrisy. Why would many say hypocrisy, even at the side of the government? For not too long, we heard when the Bishop of Yagua, the Archbishop of Douala, another bishop came and said they think President Biya should not stand in again. The Minister of Communication, government spokesperson, brought out the communique explaining that the head of state has not declared his candidacy, and that when that moment will come, the head of state will declare his candidacy.
Orange au top pour enflammer les fêtes. Yeah, yeah, avec Orange, ah ouais, ça donne. Oh, mais ne fais pas ce qu'Orange nous met bien. Orange est sur le fire, c'était fin d'année. Ne fais pas de jalousie, ne fais pas sorcellerie. Peut-être que ces gens que t'envient en plus ont seulement souscrit au bonus. Dis seulement Dieu merci pour chaud, le souffle de vie.
The Northwest House of Chiefs came out with a communique when a revered fund of Cushing gave Samuel Etofis a title. And in the communique, they detail that the special status is still empty, has not been filled. And they detail a lot of grievances where administrative power is dancing left and right and people are intruding. And today we are seeing a communique detailing how everything is fine, how everything has been well managed, how they need someone of that top diplomatic position to man the complex nature of Cameroon. It therefore put the question, who wrote the communique for the Northwest House of Chiefs when the issue of the fund of Cushing came into power? Who raised those points? Were those points automatically brought in by, because these are issues where you see the fund saying that the head of state has been so nice. Yeah, it has been so nice. Then, but we see these communiques coming up, and that's why we're urging people that not to come up with communiques, because when moment comes, we want to take position.
We are talking about the posture of the funds in relation to.
Yeah, that's what I'm highlighting why the fund articulated the issue of special status. The special issue of special status. Let's come globally. For 42 years, most of the villages of the funds where they are coming from, they don't have roads. For 42 years, electricity is being rationed. In some of the villages, I've never even seen electricity. Let me talk for my division. My road to go to my village in Way Village during the rainy season is hell in itself. Sometimes you pay 8,000 to 9,000 to get to Menchum in Way Womb. These are things that are evident. And if for 42 years we have not been able to have this, I will talk for my own division and looking at others in other division. The ring road that was promised in the northwest and northwest region for how many years before I was even born till date? And if we see, but based on the general communique stating articulately that things have been well handled and that thanks to the classification of chiefs and this and that the question is, in our tradition, I am not made to question my fund. So if the fund now goes and take this decision, and what do I do as a political will? Yes, granted, this is an issue of ethics. Those who are doing ethics, Dr. Michael will understand this, because it's an issue of ethics, ethical dilemma. Because first, the fund has a right as a Cameroonian to take a position. First, as a Cameroonian. Second, the fund has a right as a Cameroonian to exercise his voting right. Third, the fund has a right as a Cameroonian to give an opinion, like the bishop do. But the question now is, in which capacity and in which means and how? Now, if funds generally, Council of Funds decide to back President Paul Biya, I have just 6 things to articulate. For the past 42 years that we have, do we have good roads? If we have good roads, fine. For the past 42 years, do we have equal right to justice, fairness, equity, that justice is not just seen to be done, but must be done? Fine. If for the past 42 years, all the hospitals in their localities are working functionally, good and nice, fine. If for the past 42 years, the price of groceries are not all-time high, fine. If for the past 42 years, we cannot stand and say that as a people we have a common culture, well defined, to say that this is our national language or these are our national languages, where we divide it from block to block, is this, not this. Are we okay if for the past 42 years our children are still being judged by the tribes they come from to say that what is your name? You say my name is Elvis. They say no, the other name, Phi Elvis. Where you will say okay, you are asking to know Phi because you know whether you do him disfavor or you favor him, not because you want to know if it's called Phi Elvis. If for the past 42 years we are still being judged by that, fine. If for the past 42 years we have a best of capital, best of everything, fine. To me, I think that the report card is there. Funds are the same as chiefs, are the same as priests and reverend fathers and pastors are supposed to have a neutral stand in terms of declaration, because in Dr. Dimancho's culture, you cannot come and argue with the fund. In my culture, I cannot argue with my fund. When my fund say anything, I say bam, bam, bam. Now, how will you handle a situation where election comes and the fund says that I was in that and I have declared my support to President Paul Biya, and I urge you all to declare your support to President Paul Biya? How will you take it? This will infringe the democratic right and the voting right of that of these people, and this now put question to the legitimacy of the process, and that's why opposition are supposed to come together as a coalition. This is enough wake-up call for opposition. If there have never been a time where opposition will see the reason to come together, this is the moment where they should come together and tell the people that with what you are seeing, we need you to stand beside us and dear Cameroonians. This is enough reason why you should register to vote. This is enough reason why you should register to vote, because your vote count is not a declaration that votes, it is the people that goes and vote. And if you go and vote, the only way you can argue is the ballot, which is sacred. Nobody sees you, nobody knows you, and the question you say how legitimate it will be. Register first, vote first, and allow the rest process to continue. To me,
Dr. Dimancho, the chiefs, we all saw how the bishops were asked to stay in the cathedral and to preach the gospel. The chiefs said no, and the funds that their place is not in the palace, they want to engage in politics. We see all of them handle sacred functions and duties to the people. They are supposed to be a political, I don't know, they're supposed to belong to almost everybody.
I think I will borrow from the Bible. I don't know why the funds and the chiefs are leading us into temptation. They are leading us to temptation because imagine that if I was a political party leader and I have a droit de response to what they have just done, and that I have to retort and tell my people, my militants, that no, this is wrong. What the funds are saying is wrong. You should have your party closer to your heart. Don't listen to the fund. What the fund will do, it will be something like a sacrilege for me as somebody who is really an adherent to the palace, to my palace, because I'm adherent and of course a member of the Quifon. And you know, I have that traditional attachment to my phone, who is always right. You know, it's not infallibility in any case, but the tradition advises that yes, I don't argue my phone. Yeah, you know, I don't argue my phone when he speaks, and therefore that is what is happening. And it brings me back to mind. This kind of a communique brings back to memory about the rule of the phones and the chiefs. I'm asking myself whether the phones are not more cognizant of the fact that there are princesses and the queens in their palaces who are suffering, or is it that because the phones have gained administrative functions, they now feed their queens and all of that enough, that they do not see the suffering of the people to be able to address that? Because I didn't hear the funds address the skyrocketing prices, the suffering that the masses are going through, the energy crisis, fuel crisis, and all of those. I didn't hear them address. All that they had to do was to give praises to the head of state since 1982, and how they were there to crown him the fun of fun, the chief of chief, the nomgi of nomgi, and all of that. And I'm asking myself, is this now the new functions of the fund, that they are now oblivious to the fact that the traditional function that they are supposed to have back there in their personal chiefdoms? And now understand again that formerly we used to have polling stations lodged in the fundoms, in the Northwest in particular, I'm talking about where I know very well, and that it was a hard nut to crack to dislodge this polling station. I would like to thank Tumfoniko Hale for that. He is the one, as the election boss of the Northwest during that election, during the 2011, that fought for those polling stations to be dislodged from the fundoms. And I now see why they were so stiff not to let the police station get out of the fundom, because now they already had their parties close to their heart and they knew what they used to do when it came to elections. So I really cry for my country, you know, like Alan Patton would say, cry beloved country. And I know, and in a mockery way, Ayinkwe Mama would say, why are we so blessed? And that is a lampoon of all of these that is happening in the society, because this can be the best way for us to mock at our culture and our tradition. There's no better way of a mockery. This is a self-mockery of our culture and of our tradition. Then you go in an open air in the first place for the phone to stand and make a public speech. In my tradition, that is not actually done. That your phone will sit and read Monjo Dizio and say that we are deciding to vote this or that party. Is that, the tradition? I ask myself now as a traditional custodian, tradition, where are you? The gods, where are you? Ancestors, where are you? Because this is not supposed to happen. That actually the gods, the phones are the representatives. They are the vicars of the ancestors, and the vindicators of the ancestors, they must stand to the ideas of the ancestors, and the ancestors do not know favor for one over another. Meaning that what? There are people who deal in the cosmos, and the cosmos is about what? The cosmos is about love, glory, love for everyone. And now, when you have to do something that should favor someone against the wish of another person, then you are bringing now that kind of conflict that is supposed to be nursed and nurtured in the traditional setting, which should not be accepted. I just pray and hope that the opposition party, I really wish to listen to something from the political party, yes, who will come up. And this is what we're talking about, the coalition.
Yes, this is the
because
moment.
the funds came as a coalition, as an association. And I think that this is now, our topic of discussion was about the coalition. And this coalition was real. I think that this is the moment that the next day, you wouldn't have slept, will have gone and sat down and, yeah, of course, you wouldn't have slept. As we are getting on the next morning, thank God you also have your medias with you, and you don't pay for the media outings that you make. So I think that the next day we'll have gotten up to hear another counter statement from the political party to say, we dissociate ourselves from what the funds and the chiefs and the lamidas have said.
But they are not part of. They are not part. They have a right to their positions. Yeah, but is it also very telling how very animating this year is going to look like? We saw what the bishops did. Now the funds and chiefs have come out. We do not know who is coming up next.
Yes, I think I said a while ago here that sometimes if we carry on analysis based on 1990, 19 that, I keep saying as a political analyst, it might not necessarily be the same. Comparing the similar analysis to what we have now, because the stakes are high. First, people have suffered for too long. Almost everyone is tired. Almost everyone is yearning for change, yearning for a new face, irrespective of at the point in time. If you hear even the bishop tells that it's better a devil takes over and then we'll know what to do. Know that the matter is serious. It means that we're at a point in time that people are already saturated because the system in place is unproductive. It means it is kangaroo. And that's why I said you will get people say, like, as I mentioned, I spoke to some few guys who were asking me, is it true we are saying that no, Professor Moscato will no longer stand like that? You see, the agenda keeps going at a different angle, but the stakes are high. I said a while ago still that we will get more of these outings. This is just the beginning. Between now and August to September, before the re-election takes place, you will hear even some churches will come together, even what is Pentecostal, whatever group come together and say, no, we are here, we are there. From any angle, even Jangi groups will also come together and say, we have decided that no, we are for the head of state. Whether sponsored or not sponsored, these things will come. And that is why we tell Cameroonians, do not stumble. Stay firm. Stay focused. Let me blow the grammar. Let B blows the grammar. Decide for yourself, because it is you deciding now. When you go to the ballot, if it is Professor Moscato, yes. If it is SDF, yes. Anyone, but decide, because Cameroonians have the latitude now to decide. I think the main thing we are doing, like in the midst of all of this, is just to be sure that we get persons represented everywhere. That is the main thing. We call it, that is our concern now. I said this is a distraction, and that's why if you want to go detail into it, it will start start castigating one fandom to another, one children to another, which is not dignifying. I think as a custodian of tradition, I will not want to stoop low into that part, but the subjects concerned can find out those who are involved in that, and then they can get their traditional laws to accountability. Like for us, the Quick Fund can bring our fund to order. If you go and take an order that is against the people, as you come back, the Quick Fund summons you, and before you know it, the fine of the fund in our village is not easy. You pay a heavy fine for indulging the village in something which you did not follow due process. I think most villages that their costs are still in order, if they were part of that communique, you will see none later from now. You start seeing some backpedaling and say, no, what I meant was that, no, I was just saying that. So, but the dial is cast, and it will not be business as usual.
Thank you, Far, for coming.
Thanks very much, Mr. Leo, and to the people of Gunoko village, I want to send special greetings to you. And to the people of Bafut, as I said earlier, I admire. I am now seeing the fund of Bafut is my idol. From what I saw, the interactions and everything from the Bafut people and their cordiality, I think that Gunoko and the Bafut will obviously be having an official come together that cannot be separated, because they share that aspect of preserving the custom. And I think hearing Dr. Ndibache talk about Noni, it means that I think I get a similar feeling that that particular fandom is not clowning with tradition. And so I think that any fandom that does not play with its culture and does not mingle with politics, I will always be a friend to that area. Greetings to all those who have been with us all this while, and hoping that Cameroonians will decide their fate.
Thank you.
It will not be business as usual.
Thank you for coming.
No, Onyamukumba is there.
We are out of time.
Send it to the phone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leo. This shows that I'm so happy because the tension is rising. The tension of it shows that the political scene, this 2025, will not be the same as usual in the past. So we are up to that. We will leave that and we will enjoy it. A special greetings to the head of my compound, Bofa Ndimancho Ephraim, and all the funds of Nono. Of course, as you say, they are not normally part of this, but if they are, well, it is the God with the gods that they answer, but I trust them. So thank you so much, and I hope that we are going to live very interesting days in the coming days. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. A special thank to all those who have been watching us. I want to wish the special thanks to the men and women who have been protecting us. It's not been an easy one. A special happy new year to them, and also it's a difficult time, I know, but I want to take this time to salute their effort. It's not been an easy one. A special good evening to the peace-loving people of Menchum Division. Menchum Division, good evening to you guys.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you to Eli and Desmond for production. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.